Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. A outbreak of tornadoes, a possibility with the Storm Prediction Center issuing a very unusual, on average, most years, they have maybe 0 to 2 high risk events, and they have issued a high risk for a tornadic activity today in the Central Plains. The pink area you see here is that high risk. We're going to discuss that right now as we take you in a little bit closer. The areas impacted, the high risk in pink, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, right here in the boot heel of Missouri, on down into northeastern parts of Arkansas, Little Rock and Pine Bluff. The red area you see surrounding that is a moderate risk of severe weather. That would be the level 4 out of 5. This is level 5 out of 5 here in the high risk area. These areas where we are likely to see some violent, long tracked, strong tornadoes. And in fact, it's becoming increasingly likely that some of these tornadic storms produce EF3 or greater type of damage. This does extend into portions of Illinois near in Indiana, rather, near Bloomington, on down into Evansville and the areas of Paducah, Kentucky, Union City, Sikeston, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, down in towards Memphis, Tennessee, and Jonesboro, Arkansas, all in that high risk area. Look at that radar right now. A line of severe storms working their way through parts of Missouri. As we head into the afternoon, we'll look at the very latest. But first, we'll start with a look at the Storm Prediction Center and what they have going on, and some of the concerns that we have. Will identify where that risk is going to be greatest by taking a look at what they have on their page. So if you want to follow along with this, go ahead and open up your browser to the Storm Prediction Center. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has numerous tools available to it. We'll start with a look at their highlight that we just showed you. There's the high risk surrounded by the moderate risk, surrounded by the orange areas. It goes from the Dallas-Fort Worth area right up into parts of southern Michigan today. Widespread severe weather, a possibility there. A warm front in the area of Michigan going to enhance that risk of severe weather. As the cold front working its way right here makes its way off to the east, we'll have areas of gusty straight line winds. Flash flooding is going to be a possible in these areas as well. It looks like these storms are going to percolate right here in the nation's mid-south heading into the next 36 to 48 hours. So again, there is that elevated risk of a major outbreak today. It's just a risk. There's been days where it just doesn't pan out because of a cap in the atmosphere or other changes. But right now, if you are in the Central Plains and Southern Plains, please stay weather aware. All right, on this page, if you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to come to some tools that are available to you called forecasting tools in this panel. It's got a lot of various tools that are very handy for taking a look at the weather. You can click through these dots that you see right here, and these forecast tools, this ensemble forecast is a look at a composite of information. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now on the viewer here. So let's go ahead and pop that up right now. And this is a look at mid-atmospheric winds at what's called the 500 millibar level. So this is wind speed, where you see the highlights here. That is, it's not jet stream level, it's mid-atmospheric level, but it's very strong mid-atmospheric winds that will be punching into the area as we head into the morning hours. It really starts to blossom over Kansas here now, and as we go into the latter part of the day here, we're going to see that very strong wind making its way out towards parts of the Great Lakes region. Now, it's this mid and upper level wind that does a couple of things. It enhances the lift at the surface, and it can support storms capable of some strong hail. But when we have cores of stronger moving wind making its way through the area, we can certainly get some incredible amounts of lift and support for those hailstorms as well. Here's a look at some of the guidances for tornadoes today. So as we step through time, making our way through right now and into the afternoon and evening hours, right now we have a risk of tornadoes making its way through Kansas. We'll go to that radar here in a second as we continue through the morning hours. Now, where you see the brown and yellow circles and dots on here, these are areas that have, let's see if I can show the scale down at the bottom here. A little bit difficult to see, but the areas that are yellow, 10 to 15% chance of seeing a tornado. That's exceedingly high. So that doesn't mean everybody's seeing a tornado where you see the yellow dot, but the chances are most high in that particular area of Illinois. As we go into, let's see, this timestamp on this is, let's get back to 22Z. So as we go through now and into the rest of the day, you can see Arkansas lighting up as we head through. This is going to be valid at 1 UTC as we go through the evening hours tonight. So here we go, stepping through time. We're talking about central Illinois here out towards St. Louis, Missouri. And the timestamp on this is going to be right at your dinner time at 7 p.m. As we go through and go into the evening hours, here's where things light up in Arkansas as well as parts of central Illinois. Notice that threat really highlights itself down here in northeast Arkansas, the Boot Heel of Missouri with reds. Reds would be a high chance at seeing some tornadic activity, 15 to 30% in those areas of Arkansas. That moves off and shifts into parts of western Kentucky and Tennessee as we go toward the late night hours. This timestamp is midnight. So nocturnal storms will continue through the south and could punch into parts of northern Alabama and Mississippi as we go into the overnight hours before that tornado threat diminishes. So we were just looking at the risk of tornadoes. Now when we look at hail and wind, you'll see this more widespread area where we have that chance of hail today. And now we're looking at a timestamp of your dinner hour. This is 7 p.m. That risk extends all the way up towards southern parts of Michigan, all the way down into Arkansas. The hail threat becomes real here as we go all the way from central parts of Indiana, including Indianapolis, all the way down in towards Memphis, Tennessee. Now it gets high risk of very large hail, over 2 inches in diameter, working its way into western parts of Tennessee before that hail threat reduces. Then we look at the gusty straight line wind threat. These will be associated more with the line or the cold front of storms that move through. So as we go through and head through your dinner hour, that's going to be moving through the Boot Heel of Missouri. So you have this main cold front pushing through. Those gusty straight line winds will be outflow from those storms. That will be moving from west northwest to east southeast is what those gusts will do. So that is a look at that. Let me take a drink of water here. A long day of covering weather here. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. If you do not know me, I've been covering weather in the Northern Plains as a chief meteorologist on air for the better part of 30 years. Now streaming live on my Facebook channel, and you can search me up here on YouTube as well, hutchesweather.com. Okay, now you're looking at this wind threat again. That straight line wind threat will be in the same area of Arkansas into parts of southern Missouri as we cross into the dinner hour. At about 7 to 8 p.m. This becomes very, very high here as we see in parts of northeast Arkansas, major wind event north and east of, say, the Little Rock area pushing into western Tennessee, western Kentucky. The wind threat peaks up in the north there in central and northern Ohio, not far from Toledo, as we go through the evening hours. The timestamp on this is going to be about 2 a.m. So nocturnal windy thunderstorms could be approaching parts of West Virginia as well, Ohio, and moving towards West Virginia. Now, as we head into the morning hours tomorrow, Thursday, we have windy thunderstorm potential from severe thunderstorms that could break out along the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas border area as well. So that is a look at the threats for today's severe weather event. Now, we also have winter weather ongoing, and you can see other videos that I'll put up at the top here for you going on in the north. So as we take a look at the risk for some 12-hour snowfall potential here, let's go ahead and take a look at that. There we go. So as we go through time today, snow is going to develop along the North Dakota, South Dakota border, moving into central parts of Minnesota, and we will see a risk for some rapidly accumulating snow throughout the mid-morning into the early afternoon hours, making its way into and across northern Minnesota. So snowfall amounts are expected to be 3 to 9 inches, and again, you can see a lot more on that. We do have winter storm and ice storm warnings across portions of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota for today's events there. All right, let's take a look at that radar and show you what's going on as we head into your morning hours. Right now, there's the winter weather event unfolding. We had about 24 hours of snow so far across North Dakota. It's been wet, sticky, slushy snow. That includes Minnesota and the Twin Cities picking up snow as well. Watertown, South Dakota, 6 inches of heavy wet snow. And now we have an ice storm warning for your area as well. So north of Brookings and in towards Watertown, an ice storm warning is in effect. The snow is just now intensifying in Aberdeen. That's going to be making its way through southeast North Dakota and lifting its way up towards places like Fargo, Fergus Falls, Park Rapids, Minnesota, the I-94 corridor, Alexandria, Minnesota, to near and north of St. Cloud towards Brainerd. That's where that heaviest band is expected to presume and resume as we go through the day. So a quick look at the high resolution forecast for the snow event taking place in the north. As we go to the very latest model that's coming out right now, this gets us through the first few hours of the storm system. You can see as the low pressure center here works its way into Iowa, heavy bands of ice in pink, heavy snow in the dark blue blossoms through places like Grand Forks and Fargo and points south. This core here, northeast South Dakota, southeast North Dakota, will be the heaviest stretch in that band of snow. Now, those bands will organize in a couple of heavy bands, one associated with the low pressure center here, making its way through Minnesota. That's going to cross right over the I-94 corridor. Here's the I-29 corridor, Fargo, all the way down to Sioux Falls. We'll have a heavy band of snow there as well. And again, I'm expecting some significant snowfall potential, 3 to 9 plus inches, isolated places, seeing up to about 1 foot of snow. Here's a sneak peek at that. You can see more on this update a little bit later. So severe weather outbreak is going to be ongoing as we go into the central and southern plains throughout the day today. Right now, active tornadoes south of Kansas City near Clinton, active tornado warnings, I should say. We do have some reports of tornadic storms that have hit near Clinton. A tornado reported in Bates County, 5 miles southwest of Ballard. Okay, they don't rate these and give them a magnitude until they do research based on the damage that the storms produce. That's why you see the EF0 now. We have no clue until they go out and research. Tulsa seeing some reports of severe weather today. Tornadoes reported, roof damage, tree damage, fence damage, and this occurred at 6:38 a.m. Good morning, Tulsa. These storms are heading all the way out in towards Fayetteville, Bella Vista, and Bentonville in northwest Arkansas. This backward C shape is very gusty straight line winds. So just by the look of the radar data here, we can anticipate some very strong straight line winds blowing from west to east right through places like Fayetteville, Gentry now, and eventually Rogers, Fayetteville, and Springdale, going to see this as it moves across and out of Kansas and into, and I should say Kansas, Oklahoma, and into the state of Arkansas. Thunderstorms continue all the way up on the I-70 corridor, moving right through Columbia right now at the University of Missouri, all the way to Quincy, Illinois. These will be heading into that St. Louis area as we go through the day. This is along a cold front here. So along that, we're seeing some thunderstorm activity. The outbreak today will be discrete cells that form out ahead of the storm. St. Louis, Memphis, Cape Girardeau, southern parts of Indiana, as well as southern parts of Illinois. That's where we expect those cells to form that have that best chance at becoming severe. And of course, in the central and eastern portions of Arkansas a little bit later. So be weather aware today. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I appreciate you watching me right here on Hutch's Weather. You can find out more about me. Follow me on Facebook at Hutch Johnson, Chief Meteorologist. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hutch's Weather. Thanks for watching. You can get the latest interactive radar and more weather information anytime, anywhere on hutchesweather.com.